Hi everyone, and welcome to Teatime Diaries. My name is Jennifer and I am very excited about today's video. I'm actually going to be responding to a request from one of my lovely subscribers. So I want to take a moment to thank Sarah Martinez for submitting this question in one of the comments on a previous video. She asked, "Do you collect books related to this?" Meaning related to tea parties, throwing a tea party, and just tea culture in general. At least that's the way that I understood the question. So, as a response to that question, Sarah, this video is dedicated to you. So thank you very much for submitting that question. And yes, I have books and I am ready to share. All right, so let's just jump right in. The first book that I'm gonna show you guys is more of like the science behind tea, the history of tea, so it's a little bit more informational, more factual. And this is a tiny book. I'm pretty sure I featured it before on my channel, but just in case you haven't seen it, this is the title of the book. It's called Stuff Every Tea Lover Should Know by Candace Rose Rardon. And I'll be sure to put the titles and the author in the description box just in case you want to look for the book to purchase it, or some of the books I'll be sharing you could borrow from a library. I don't think this one would be one of those, but you can certainly purchase it if you'd like. The reason why I like this book is because it breaks everything down very systematically. So first it starts off with tea basics. And so everything that I've learned about tea, how tea is made, where it comes from, terms that you should know regarding tea, all of that I have read in this book. It talks about topics like tea bags versus loose leaf tea, which I've also spoken about in my channel. Tea accessories, how to prepare tea, which I have a whole video on that as well. If you guys are interested, I'll link it below as well. And then it talks about tea families and common varieties. So it talks about the difference between black tea, green tea, white tea, yellow tea, oolong tea. And I have touched a little bit about that on my channel, but not in depth as she does in her book. Then she talks about tea traditions across the world, which is actually very interesting, and I would love to be able to talk more about that on my channel as well someday. And there's a small section about tea parties, which includes how to host afternoon tea for adults, children, a basic recipe for scones, and even tea cocktails. So very, very interesting book. I've gotten a lot of good information from this, and like I've mentioned, it's also helped to spark ideas in my head about topics that I would like to share with you guys on my channel. So this is my first recommendation. The next couple of books that I'm going to be sharing with you are from Teatime magazine. So if you've been watching my videos for a while, you know that for the past 2 years, I have attended the Tea Fest in Pennsylvania, and one of their sponsors is Teatime magazine, and so they do sell their books and magazines there. And so when I was there 2 years ago, I purchased these two books. The first one is called Tea Parties Around the World, and this has been a really big inspiration for me because one of the things that I love to do is just learn about other people's cultures. Some of you know that I am a teacher, and one of the topics that I teach is English as a second language. And so I get to meet lots of different people from lots of, different parts of the world, and I just love learning about their culture. And when we can combine that with one of my other passions, which is having a tea party, I'm sold. I'm all in. So definitely was excited about picking up this book. And this book basically breaks everything down by country. So for example, I'll open this up here. This one is on Morocco, and the book shows you pictures about a possible table setting, colors, and things like that. They share a scone recipe, savories, sweets, and then it also talks about tea pairings as well. So this is a really great book. Like I said, it has served me as inspiration for some of my themed tea parties. For example, my last tea party that I hosted, I wanted to have a more of like a summer in Italy type of vibe. And so just being able to, look up different recipes and different styles that are reminiscent of that part of the world. And that's really what this book focuses on. So this is a really good one as well. And these are not very expensive. The price in the back here says $24.95. And of course you could probably find it on sale, or maybe even find a used copy that you can purchase. I think that these are really valuable if you want to host tea parties but maybe don't have any ideas of your own. And this could be a great resource for you, because it's a great resource for me. All right, the next book is also from the Teatime magazine, and this one is called Tea and Scones. And I like this book because it shares so many different scone recipes, and I just love scones with clotted cream and jam. It's one of my favorite things to eat. Definitely hoping that it becomes a food group, right? It should be part of the food pyramid, or part of the food group. But anyway, love tea and scones. So I like this one because it gives you a lot more ideas in terms of pairings. Let me see if I can find. Well, the first section talks about tea steeping time, which is really important. Again, I've talked about that on my channel before. Certain types of teas should be steeped in certain ways. And then they start going over the different scone recipes. So you can see that they have a variety of recipes. And then I'm just gonna skip a little bit because I know there's a section here where they talk about pairing, different tea pairings, and I think that's really important. It's not just about making the scone, but also about pairing it with the right type of tea so that when you have it together, it's an explosion of flavor and very wonderful experience, right? A delectable experience. So that's what I really like about this particular book. And they even have some savory scone recipes here as well. For example, they have one that I'm looking at here, sun-dried tomato basil and bacon scones. So pretty interesting. So if you like baking and you want to try to perfect the art of making scones, this is definitely a good book for you as well. Okay, and then the last thing that I'm going to share before I get into different types of books that have to do with tea culture is the actual magazine for Teatime magazine. So this is obviously part of a monthly subscription. I don't have a monthly subscription to Teatime magazine, but I have picked up some of their magazines again at the festival when I have attended previously. So this one was their fall edition for 2022. And so this is also a great resource to kind of help give you ideas about different themes and even different products that you can purchase, which is one of the things that differentiates this magazine, obviously, from this book. They don't really promote any different products in this book, but this is a magazine, so it has ads in it, and you can see the different ads for different products that you could try. And I think that's important because sometimes it's difficult to find good quality products, and so when you have a magazine like this, you can kind of flip through it and see what products are out there. And they even have advertised different tea rooms, so depending where you live, you can also find information on tea rooms that you can go visit. This one, for example, is in Florida, in Claremont. So if you're in the Florida area, you can check this place out. It's called Erica's Tea Room. So this is another just type of resource that helps to give you ideas. They also have recipes on here as well. So yeah, another good resource to help you get ideas for hosting a tea party, what type of theme, what, kind of recipe and things you want to serve. Okay. The last couple of books that I want to share are books that either talk directly about tea parties or are involved in, like, that tea culture is involved in the book some way, somehow. And so I'm going to start off with something like more inspirational and serious, and then we'll get into some fun fictional stories. I've talked about this in previous videos before, but this is a great devotional. It's called the Tea Lovers Devotional by Emilie Barnes, and this is really cool. It's very uplifting if you are a religious person, a spiritual person. You could appreciate the lessons that are in this devotional. And the cool thing about this is that it's not just a devotional, because the author also shares recipes. For example, she shares strawberry cheesecake recipe on one page, and other recipes as well. There's a scone recipe in here. And then, of course, the devotional itself is always inspirational, and she has really good quotes in here as well. This one is one of my favorites because it's kind of humorous. It says, "Always fear that creation will expire before tea time." So that is, kind of humorous in my opinion. So this is really good. This is a good read as well. Again, just for like a little bit of inspiration. And I'm just gonna grab a sip of water because it is very, very warm and toasty in New Jersey today. And I'm filming this early because I don't wanna wait until it gets really hot, but it's also humid. So I apologize if I'm like a little bit sweaty, but we're gonna push through. Okay, now to the fun stuff, to the fun books. And I'm going to try my best to put screenshots up of the cover of some of these books. I do have like a physical, actual book to share with you, but all of the other books in that I'm going to mention are books that I borrowed from the library, and so or through a library app. And so I won't be able to show you the physical book, but I'll try to put a screenshot of it, and if I can't, I will definitely write the name of the book and the author in the description box. So I first want to talk about this book. This is called Tea and Treachery. It is a Tea by the Sea mystery book, meaning that it's a series, and this is the first in the series. I purchased this book at the Tea Festival in Pennsylvania, and it was a lot of fun. I love a cozy mystery, and this is definitely a cozy mystery, but the great thing about it is that it's just full of tea culture, tea references. Essentially, this takes place in Cape Cod, and there is a young girl who she runs a tea shop alongside her grandmother's bed and breakfast, and her grandmother is this hilarious older woman, British woman from, and she's funny. She's really funny in the book. And she has a friend who's a writer and who came to Cape Cod for some inspiration. And yeah, there's a series of murders, and they start investigating everything, and they go on, an unwelcomed adventure, because the main character of the book doesn't really want to get involved, but her grandmother and her best friend are sort of pushing her. There's a gentleman in the book who is a gardener, also from England, and there seems to be some kind of spark there, maybe a love connection in one of the future series. I haven't read all of the books in this series. I read this one, and then I read the other one. I don't have the name of the other books in the series, but I believe there's like 3 or 4, and I definitely read the first and the second one. I don't think I've read the third one yet, but definitely the first and the second book in the series I've read, and they're both very entertaining, again, very humorous, and it's just a cozy mystery, nothing gory or raunchy or anything like that. It's just a nice, enjoyable read. So definitely check out this series of Tea by the Sea mysteries. This is really good. It's also a good summer book because it takes place in Cape Cod, so it gives you a lot of summer vibes if you're looking for a good summer read. So that's one of them. The other book, and I have it written down so that I don't forget, so that's what I'm looking at, but it's called The Mystery Guest, and it's part of the Maid series. So they have 2 books, and this one I read on the library app. So again, I'll try to put a picture, but if not, I'll share it in the description. This is a book, the second book in the series. So I haven't read the first one. Don't know what the first one is about. But the good thing about these mystery books is that you don't really need to read them in order, because the storyline really doesn't carry on. It's a new storyline each time. And so it's okay if you read the second one before the first one. That's what I did. I actually have the first one on hold. I'm waiting for it to read it. I haven't read it yet, but the second one is good. It's called The Mystery Guest. And I love the main character in the story. She's not very savvy when it comes to like social cues and things like that. She's actually very intelligent, but she lacks a lot of social skills that come easily to other people. But that helps her to be very intuitive to her surroundings, and like I said, very smart. And so that helps her to be able to solve mysteries. And so this one has to do with the murder of a writer, and it happens in the tea room of the hotel where she works at. And her grandmother, also being from Britain, has a lot of, that culture, afternoon tea and all that stuff that she shares, and you can see those elements throughout the story. So it doesn't mention as much of those themes like what you would see here, because this takes place in an actual tea shop, but it does have those elements throughout the book. And again, it was just a good read. Not as humorous, but definitely interesting, very interesting storyline, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. So that's one of them. And then my last suggestion for sort of like entertaining books about tea would be any of the books in the series The Tea Shop Mysteries, or A Tea Shop Mystery by Laura Childs. And so again, there are a lot of books in the series. I want to say maybe over 20 books in the series, and I have not read them all. I have read, and I started with number 12 in the series. Again, you don't have to start from the beginning because, each story is going to be a little bit different. I started with number 12, which is called Scones and Bones. Then I read Agony of the Leaves, Sweet Tea Revenge, Steeped in Evil, and Devonshire Scream. And that's where I stopped. Unfortunately, the library app that I use doesn't have very many of the tea shop mystery books. So I've read a couple, and I've listened to the audiobook as well. On Audible, they have more of these available, of that particular series. So you could essentially read it for free at the library, whatever ones they have available. And you can also read them on Audible if you pay for that monthly subscription. But that's really good as well. So that's also a tea shop, but this one is actually in South Carolina, in Charleston. And the main character's name in this one is Theodosia, and she is the owner of a tea shop in Charleston. I've been to Charleston before. I love Charleston. And so when I read these books, it kind of helps me take me back to that time that I spent there. But it's really good. She works there with a gentleman. I don't know why I can't remember his name right now. But it's him and then her, the chef, who works there as well. And so they, again, have lots of different adventures, solving mysteries. However, Theodosia is the main character. She's typically the one who solves the mystery, but she's always encouraged by Drayton. That's the name of the guy. His name is Drayton. And then her pastry chef as well. They're all involved in that. So those are, all of my suggestions of books that I have read so far that, again, have to do with just tea parties, tea culture. Actually, in the tea shop mystery books, Theodosia the author talks about the themed tea parties that Theodosia has, and it's pretty interesting, right? So that can give you ideas as well. But mostly these fictional books are more for entertainment. So I hope that was a nice blend of good resource books, but also books that will give you a little bit of inspiration, as well as entertainment. So I would love to hear what book recommendations you have for me. Or do you know of any books out there that I can read that either have to do with informational things, like the books that I shared first, or maybe some good fiction or entertainment books that I can read? I would love to hear your suggestions in the comments. And if you have any video requests, things that you would like for me to address in a future video, I am I'm welcoming that as well. You feel free to write that in the comments below as well. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please go ahead and click that like button. If you are not subscribed and you are watching this video, or you watched my other videos, make sure that you subscribe. It helps out my channel a lot. It gives me the opportunity to continue to make videos like this one. Thanks again, and until next time, have a terrific day. Bye.